start by saying delighted to have you, Mr. Shirish Deshpande, and I'm really happy that he said yes so readily to come and meet all of us. So with these few words, I'm going to hand the mic over to you.
And I really feel honored for being invited here to address you on the topic which is so dear to me, and which I have been espousing, and I have been talking, and I've been enacting and whatnot for last, I think, more than 25 years. And when the email came from Sucheta saying that she would like me to come, I think, instantly agreed, except for the day. That was the matter of convenience for she was preferring Saturday, but I had some other commitments. But when an invitation comes from a crusader like Sucheta, I think I obviously could not say no. And I was really glad, and I am here with you. The topic she has given me to address you is on the Consumer Protection Act, how to fight the battles in the consumer courts, how to fight the complaints and all. Friends, I am not going to take you much into the legalities. What are the definitions, how to file, and what is the court fee and all that. Basically, I would like you to understand what this Consumer Protection Act is all about. How it empowers even the most commonest of the common consumer, the most gullible consumer, the most ignorant consumer, the most unorganized consumer. And it empowers you to take on all and mighty. Be that a public sector undertaking, be that a government, be that a private sector multinational organization, be that United Breweries or railways or anybody like that. One single consumer, and with this Consumer Protection Act in hand, you are adequately empowered to fight injustice against you. But how many of us know that? In fact, today I am going to unfold before you the untold, unrealized, unknown potential of the Consumer Protection Act, which people like you and me can exploit it for the benefit and protection of the consumers. And when I say this with a degree of authority and experience. It is an amazing law. Usually law is known to be complex, complicated, and as a result the common man tries to keep away from it. Consumer Protection Act is the one which perhaps any person can practice it. The Consumer Protection Act has created a sort of a system, what we popularly call it as the consumer courts, which are not the courts proper. They have the outfit, I would say, of a court, but their proceedings are not supposed to be as complicated, as technical, as legalistic as we find in the civil courts. They are supposed to be consumer friendly. They are supposed to be more informed. And then, as a result of which, even an ordinary consumer, without the assistance of any advocate, can fight his or her own matter. Although advocates are not prohibited under the Consumer Protection Act in the consumer courts, any ordinary consumer can fight either his own battle, or if he doesn't want to engage a professional advocate, he can request his friend or a relative who can appear as an authorized agent and represent his case. The very purpose of the Consumer Protection Act is to provide you a very simple, inexpensive, easy remedy and also the speedy remedy for various problems that you and I as a consumer face in the marketplace. Like what? Like when we buy products, many a time we end up with the products which never work. or the services, several deficiencies, a lot of unfair practices, deceptive practices, whereby we are taken for granted, or we are taken for right. Overcharging. The price is X, but you are charged X plus 10. And selling you hazardous products, dangerous products. Consumer needs to be protected against all these things. And before 1986, if any consumer was a victim of a defective product, deficiency in service, or is a victim of unfair trade practice, all that he was required to do is go and knock the door of the civil court. But the civil court remedy was costly, it was time consuming, and it was complex. You cannot avail that facility or the road unless you engage in costly advocate. So it was as good or as bad as no remedy. It was an illusory remedy. It was a meaningless remedy. It was not available and accessible to a common man who was suffering and who was suffering in silence. And in order to overcome this sort of a malice, and in furtherance of the UN guidelines for the consumer protection, where the United Nations directed all its member nations that each country must have a very effective and efficacious remedy for the consumer protection, because often consumer is an unorganized lot, and others who are manufacturers, who are traders, who are service providers, they are all organized. So it's an uneven battle. And in order to bring the sort of a balance, the UN guidelines say that you must empower the consumers in your country by enacting adequate and effective legislation. We should work and we should deliver. And that is why the Indian Parliament enacted Consumer Protection Act in 1986, December 1986. The objective was very simple: to make effective protection of the consumers in the marketplace. And for that purpose, on one hand, it created a hierarchy of consumer courts at the district level, state level, and the national level. It's called district forum, state commission, and the national level. On the other hand, it created another mechanism called consumer protection councils, and again a district level, state level, national level. And these are of course the recommendatory bodies where the representatives of consumers, traders, manufacturers, service providers and government agencies are expected to come together on a forum, deliberate on the issues of the consumers, problems of the consumers, and recommend to the government measures, policies that can go into making for protecting the consumers at large. Now, having done this, we have our Consumer Protection Act. Although Parliament enacted this law and the President gave its assent on 24 December 1986, it took almost about 2 years for it to get into action as far as the consumer courts were concerned. And then somewhere in 87-88, we started this consumer courts. We started creating the awareness, we started writing articles in the consumers' newspapers and all that, as to how benevolent this legislation, how good, bad and all that. And the thing started. And as we were singing laurels of this act, how beautiful this act is, how simple this is and all, one lady drew the inspiration from our articles. She was a teacher, a retired teacher from Pune. And after retirement, she had invested all her, provident fund dues and all what you get, lump sum. She invested in some company. And after the maturity, when the time came for a refund of the money, the company started playing dirty. No money, this, that. And she had read the articles which we used to write in our, we had the regular column in Mumbai Grahak Panchayat. And we had depicted all this such rosy picture, anybody can go to the consumer court, no advocates, no this thing, but easy redressal and all. No formalities. So she wrote a letter to the consumer forum in Pune saying that, look, I had deposited 30,000 rupees to this company for 3 years and now they are not refunding, so I want justice. She enclosed, of course, all the documentary evidence like receipts and all correspondence. And the moment the notice was served on the opposite party armed with the advocate, professional advocate, came and started their legalistic fashion, objecting from the word go. And he objected, he said, how can this complaint be entered? His objection was that this lady, and I am particularly citing this example here on this forum of Moneylife, is that she is an investor. She has invested 30,000 rupees in our company, admittedly. She is an investor, but how is she a consumer? Consumer Protection Act, admittedly, is meant for the consumers. Consumer courts are meant for the consumers, and only the consumer, as defined under the Consumer Protection Act, can file a complaint in the consumer. So the advocate raised a technical objection that she is an investor, she is not a consumer. So the issue is whether the investor is a consumer or not. And the forum was swayed and influenced by the arguments advanced by the advocate of the company, and saying that she has not paid any consideration to hire the services, and so she is not a consumer. And the forum upheld it and dismissed it. And there began a long journey. She wrote one small postcard to us. And she said, we had read the article about this and all, and you had said that, okay, we can go like that, I need to go and all that thing. And now the forum has dismissed my complaint, and she raised only one question: is investor not a consumer? That later landed in my hand, and I realized there is a tremendous potential in this question that she had raised. And I say, if I let go this judgment like that, unchallenged, unquestioned, a wrong precedent is likely to be established. So we said, we take upon your matter and we will file an appeal in the State Commission against that order. We challenge that. And we did challenge that. Now at this juncture you must understand how the Consumer Protection Act has defined the term consumer. Consumer means, usually we know that, okay, one who buys the product, we know he is a consumer. One who hires the service is also a consumer. Now the Consumer Protection Act says that the person who buys the goods is a consumer. But also it goes beyond that. See, many a time what happens? You buy something which is not necessarily meant for your own consumption. You buy, suppose you buy a packet of biscuits which is meant to be eaten by your family, children. They don't buy it, you buy it. The buyer is one, the user is another. So the definition says the consumer means a person, not only one who buys the goods, but also a user of them, the beneficiary. Similarly, in case of service, service means we are always consumers of service also. Banking, insurance, transport, news, everything. So when you hire a service, again, many a time, one person hires a service, another uses it. Today's example. You hired the services of tap cap for me. You engage their services, I was supposed to be the beneficiary. Any defect or deficiency in that, not only they can file a complaint against them, but I as a user also can. So the consumer means a person not only who pays for the consideration, who pays the consideration for the product or the service, but also who receives the benefit of that. Another example, I send a courier packet to a friend of mine or to a client or something like that. I pay for it. The other party doesn't get it. Now under the Consumer Protection Act, both of them are consumers. The person who pays for the service and the person who is supposed to receive, that is the beneficiary. They are all consumers. Having said this, now the question came in this case as to how the investor is a consumer. Matter came before the State Commission and the learned judge asked me, Mr. Deshpande, how do you say that the lady who has invested 30,000 rupees is a consumer? Because the definition says a person who hires service for consideration. So the judge asked me, where is the element of hiring the service for consideration and what is the consideration that she has paid? If she has paid 30,000 rupees, she is supposed to get back more than 30,000 rupees, obviously with the interest. So where is the consideration paid? And I argue that this question is an indirect consideration. That when you allow somebody to use your money and they say, okay, we'll give you 15% return on that. They use that money by using it as a loan and then they make money on that. So when I deprive myself of using that money and allow you to do that, that is the consideration I am giving for you to use that money. Then I gave another example. I said banking is a service as specifically mentioned in the Consumer Protection Act. When I act as a consumer in the bank or the savings bank, I say it's the same thing. I put 1,000 rupees but I get 1,000 rupees and 100 rupees more interest on that. But suppose if I issue a check and in spite of there being adequate balance, if the bank dishonors that check wrongfully, I say I can always go to the consumer court and say there is a deficiency on part of the bank. So I say, where is the consideration at that time also? I am depositing 1,000 rupees. Next year you are giving me 1,000 rupees and 100 rupees on that as an interest. So where is the consideration? So I say the same thing applies here. So I thought I have convinced the State Commission. And then the matter came and again our appeal was dismissed. And the same judgment was confirmed that consumer is, an investor is not a consumer. But look at the tenacity and the patience of this lady. We didn't charge anything for her because we thought it was in a wider public interest, but then she felt embarrassed and awkward to tell us again to fight for Delhi because the next battle was a long drawn and a costly affair to go to National Commission. Without telling us, she sent all the papers with all our legal arguments, whatever we had made and all that, to Delhi, National Commission. And she also said that I am a senior citizen, I am a retired teacher, I can't afford to come to Delhi and all that thing. Please decide on there. Again, the company's advocate appeared there, and here, nobody on behalf of the consumer, that lady. And one fine morning, we heard on All India Radio and News, there is a landmark judgment, the National Commission has held that investor is a consumer. It was that case, and that case is now a historical case often quoted by all the investors when they go into the consumer court. It is Neela Raje versus Amod Industries, and that opened the gates for all the investors to knock the door of the consumer court. If there is any complaint of the investor is held as a consumer under the Consumer Protection Act. But imagine, it is a fight of one single lady, unassisted by any professional advocate. And in fact, I would say millions of investors today should be grateful and indebted to this lady called Neela Raje. One single lady can do it. I can tell you numerous such cases. In fact, Suchita referred to another case, and that's also interesting about this corrective advertising. You know, the Consumer Protection Act was specifically amended in the year 2003 to to incorporate certain additional provisions. Many times we find that we, the consumers, are often victims of tall claims, misleading claims, patently false claims. And all these claims are made through very attractive, persuasive, aggressive advertising. So the remedy is that if any advertisement is found to be misleading or is found to be false, making tall claims, then the consumer has now a weapon. He can drag that advertising agency and the producer or the manufacturer of the goods or services and force him to carry the corrective advertisement at his own cost to neutralize the effect made by that misleading ad. And we did a test case. Mumbai Grahak Panchayat did a test case. You know, a lot of surrogate advertisements appear. Even now, on the TV and all that. Few years back, we saw one Western Railway train running from Churchgate to Virat. It was all 9 compartments on the external things were carrying advertisement of cold drink out. And it was the advertisement of London Pilsner small beer bottle that they have introduced. But somewhere in the corner they write London Pilsner soda. Okay. 12 bogies, Western Railway train running with a cold drink out. But it was a surrogate liquor ad of the beer. Another train we saw in another couple of days, Derby Special, and it said, "Yahi hai apna alag andaz." And again somewhere in the corner, soda or some pint or something like that, or CD or cassettes like that. And one more thing, bagpipe soda, India's number 1, world's number 3. This was again a misleading thing, that bagpipe soda is never India's number 1. Bagpipe soda is never world's 3. It is bagpipe whiskey. So we challenge all that. We wrote to railways and we wrote to United Breweries, operating Vijay Mallya. They never bothered. And we told railways withdraw the ads. They said, no, these are the ads of soda and all that. And like, no child can believe that. So having given them the opportunity and having refused that, we decided to make a test case under the Consumer Protection Act for corrective advertisements. Because under the Consumer Protection Act, if somebody is found making a misleading claim, then he has to be directed to correct that. So we filed a case in the State Commission. The moment railways got the notice, they withdrew all the advertisements. But then we said, no, we will not stop here. Now, corrective advertisements. So the judge asked me, Deshpande, now, what sort of corrective advertisement you want to introduce? I said, these are all admittedly the liquor advertisements. And the liquor has the influence, which has to be neutralized. So limbu pani is the best solution for that. So we gave the advertisement as a counter to the Derby Special, yahi hai apna alag andaz. We said limbu pani, nariyal pani, yahi hai apna alag andaz. And then for bagpipe soda, India's number 1 and world's number 3, we said India's number 1, only natural fruit drinks. And believe it, railways and United Breweries were directed to carry these ads on all these 3 trains which they had painted with the advertisements for 7 days at their own cost, and which railways did it. Railways did it, but United Breweries did not do it. They challenged that thing in the National Commission. National Commission, even without sending notice to us, they dismissed that appeal and told the Council for United Breweries, you should thank your staffs that you have been let off very lightly by carrying these ads only for 7 days, and dismiss the thing and confirm the judgment of State Commission where corrective advertisement can take place and consumer can insist on this. Now, if we see there are several issues. If you read any newspaper or if you just switch on your TV, you will find number of misleading ads. Somebody will say, okay, you are bald, okay, you use my oil and it will grow hair on your body. Several health claims about the health products, health food products and all. You use this, you will get this and all. What are we doing? Everywhere, Shirish Deshpande or Mumbai Grahak Panchayat will not be sufficient. It is for people like you who want to see that, having realized that yes, there is a potential in this law and there is a possibility like this, why not advocate? In fact, number of advertisements you must be seeing, sometimes 0% interest on loans. How it is possible? Somewhere there is a catch. So the advertisement is on the face of it misleading. We have to force these people to correct these ads. But we let go the things because ये करने को time किसको है? All such fights have to be fought by somebody else, not me. If we do that, then I will say that we deserve what we get. We must resist. And as I said, it really doesn't require a lot of money. It doesn't require a lot of sort of knowledge. Knowledge you can get from consumer bodies. Okay? But yes, it requires patience. And it requires determination. And it doesn't cost. Patience doesn't cost. Determination doesn't cost. If you are a determined consumer, you can make it. Let me tell you another example of from Gujarat. And it happens, let me tell you, to practically every one of you and me. All of us must have gone through this incident. Every now and then, and we simply don't do anything. MRP. Maximum retail price. The law says MRP means, okay, you shall not pay even a paisa more than whatever is the maximum retail price. Now you go outside, try to buy any soft drink bottle, try to buy any milk pouch, MRP so much, but the shopkeeper will say, okay, plus 1 rupee or 2 rupees. Why? Cooling charges, this, that, not allowed. But who has the time to fight for that one small rupee? But do you know that one small rupee means how much? In fact, I had calculated at one point of time. In Mumbai, roughly assuming that there are about 40 lakhs of liters of milk is supplied every day. And this practice is very rampant of charging 1 rupee per liter extra. Even if you take out of 40,000 liters, 30,000 liters are overcharged and 10,000, okay, you are fortunate to get at the MRP. That means 30,000, or not 30,000, 30 lakhs of liters per day, 1 rupee we are paying extra, that is 30 lakhs rupees per day. If you want to multiply it for 30, you get it for a month, how much? And if you multiply it by 365 days, that is a money, huge money that we are paying. But okay, I am paying only 1 rupee, he is paying only 1, so nobody bothers. But collectively, if you see, it's a huge money. It has to be resisted, it has to be protested. But nobody bothers. But the Consumer Protection Act provides the remedy that overcharging, yes, you can get a refund. One gentleman in Gujarat, when he went with a family to buy bottles of Mirinda soft drink, he was charged some 22 rupees extra for 4 bottles. He protested, but he said nothing doing. If you want to buy, you have to pay. Having no other remedy, he bought. But he insisted on the cash memo. He got a cash memo and he filed a case in a consumer court. Now one may laugh. Just to get a bloody refund of 22 rupees, a man is going to the consumer court. But that man was sensible and he was a responsible citizen and a responsible consumer. You know the prayer that he made in the court? He said it's not a question that I had to pay 22 rupees extra. It is the practice, and it is a rampant practice, that is going on and must be going on with this hotel also. So, apart from directing a refund of my 22 rupees, the court should direct that hotel wala to produce his balance sheets for last 3 years, and whatever the overcharging is there as per the records, that overcharging has to be refunded and has to be credited to the consumer welfare fund of the state government. And believe it, the Gujarat Consumer Court did that. And apart from refunding 22 rupees to that gentleman who complained and giving also some 5,000 rupees compensation for him and also the cost for fighting the case, it directed that hotel. Incidentally, the name of that hotel was Hotel Nyay Mandir. Okay. So that Hotel Nyay Mandir was directed to deposit another 1,50,000 in the Gujarat's Consumer Welfare Fund, meant for the benefit of the consumers. Anybody can do it, but we don't do it.